Thank you. It's an honor to be here and to be invited to speak to you today. My talk is about how to share all that knowledge that is flowing around today. I'd like to share with you some free tools that we use to put together our knowledge management system that we're building. So first, I'm sure you've seen this picture before. If the print's a little small, the gist of it is that the user wants what's in the bottom right corner. See that tire swing? Anyone have a tire swing when they were a kid? It's simple, it gets the job done, it's fun. But how this project goes awry is when other people get involved. You see the ones, the two top pictures. Oh well, we need some redundancy in our swing, and we need a different platform. And then the middle pictures are other people's ideas of how one should go about building this project, and the lower left one is what the project ends up being. So we don't want to do that. If we're going out to create a tire swing, we want a tire swing and not something that is fragile or wrong or doesn't suit our needs. So here is a solution to the problem of what to do with all the knowledge that we have, is build a knowledge management system using free and open source software. And I just noticed I spelled source wrong. How embarrassing. Their knowledge management systems fall within the category of content management systems. Content management systems can be anything like Wikimedia or forums or a SharePoint server at your office. But what we mean by knowledge management system for our purposes is we want a repository for information such as research papers, data arising from research, references, that sort of thing. And so that's the repository aspect. When people produce scientific work, we want to provide them with a place to store it. And the other side is we want people who are searching for that information to be able to find it. And those people could be members of the public, they could be other scientists, they could be people from outside the country. But in a knowledge management system, there's basically four components that we have to look at. Number one is people. The knowledge management system is built by people and for people. It wouldn't exist without that. Next, we need some computing resources, and we'll talk about that later. That's where all the free stuff comes in. 3 is really important and often overlooked when budgeting. Training is important in a number of areas, not just how to use the system, how to create content for it, how to expand it, and all the management type things like making sure it's secure and backed up and so forth. And of course, we need a plan. So let's start at step number 1, our people. Our scientists at IGG would be the subject matter experts. They have information to share, and in concert with IT staff and content creators, management, they can get their content out there and published. So the different roles here, the reason why I split it out this way, I put subject matter experts at the top because that's where it starts. That's where the knowledge starts that we're going to share. I put audience in all capital letters because if no one's reading or consuming that knowledge, well, it's kind of a useless system. Management is really important, and by management I mean someone who drives the project, who is sort of a cheerleader for it, who makes sure that everyone knows about it, that it's well advertised, someone that can sort of be an intermediary and feedback any comments or suggestions or new needs to keep driving the project, because as time goes on, needs in the knowledge management system might change. So of course you need your IT staff or outside partners. It depends on the scope and scale of your system. And content creators and managers can be the people that do the publishing, that can take the content as given by the subject matter experts, and perhaps we may need graphic artists in this category, or may need people that are experienced in HTML or CSS, and video creation just depends on what sort of content you have. So that's people. Next, computing resources, and this is where the free stuff comes in. Before I get to the free stuff, I would just like to mention that there are some unavoidable costs in building a knowledge management system. If you outsource it, then you're going to pay for web hosting or a virtual private server or something somewhere. If you do it in-house, you're going to need to pay an ISP, your internet service provider. You're going to maybe buy server hardware unless you already have virtual infrastructure in-house. You may need firewalls, routers, that sort of thing. And maybe, depending upon your platform, you might need software user licenses and other stuff that just gets consumed, things like backup media. So, now the good stuff, the free stuff. Well, we decided for the Knowledge Portal for IGG was to use a open source learning management system called Moodle. That's the front end. That's what everyone sees. When they go to your Knowledge Portal, they're going to see that front end. The back end, however, is just as important. That's the databases that the knowledge management system connects to. Could be the file system. So that, of course, depends on the operating system. You might create some plugins or scripts that connect to other data sources. So that's more stuff in the shadows as well. And other free stuff that should be considered is documentation support and maybe training. Sometimes you can get free courses or free books, but we'll get to that in a minute. For training, step number 3 of creating our knowledge management system, there's training needed in a few different areas. For the technical people, probably IT people that are managing the system, they need to be well versed in system security, account management, right sizing the resources such as memory and CPU power, bandwidth, and then that's the techie people. Next would be the people that are adding content into the system. So in our case, Moodle. They would need to know how to log into Moodle, what sort of functionality Moodle has, and know how to create the content. And then if you are just a user of the system, hopefully the interface should be good enough, clear enough to get you going without too much instruction. But some systems, particularly if a knowledge management system also includes e-learning aspects such as courses where a person can log in, maybe take a test after reviewing some material and be graded, there might be some need for training for that sort of thing as well. So manuals, goes without saying, read the manual. It's always a great place to start for training. The manuals and other documentation, of course, should be provided by the software vendor, but one important aspect here in Mongolia is it's not always in English, it's always in English. It's not always in Mongolian. In fact, it's rarely in Mongolian. So it's not just manuals and documentation that we need, it's manuals and documentation in a language that people can access. Online forums are great, and they're, as an aside, both a place to give and receive, because it's great to have free software and get free stuff, but if you're not paying for support, you're getting support from other users in the community, so it's a good form to be a member of that community and give back and help out other users. Under books, sometimes you can get them for free. PacketPub is one of my favorites. A-Press has a $10 deal of the day. If you hunt around, sometimes you can get very good quality ebooks on some open source products, so I put that in there. Online courses, there's edX and Coursera and lots, and just quite a variety of whether you pay or not, or whether you can audit the course and maybe not take the exams, but depending upon what you're looking into, sometimes you can get those for free. And lastly, sometimes people run in just lunch and learn sessions. So everyone takes their bag lunch into the lunchroom and someone gives a presentation on a particular aspect of the management system. Okay, so now we need a plan. And I just put out some tips here. Let the whole thing be driven by the audience, which means you have to figure out who your audience is. Is it the other scientists? Is it the member of the public? Is it management? Is it, who knows? Ask widely, listen to feedback, and let what people's needs and wants are drive what software you choose. Don't burden these subject matter experts with content creation. They're great scientists. They may or may not be great at creating PDFs and HTML pages and so forth. So let everyone do what they do best. Plan for disasters, including success disasters. Success disasters are when your site is amazing and adoption scales much faster than your hardware and software. So your bandwidth crashes. Maybe some of you read in the paper that for Open Access Week, Stephen Hawking, the British cosmologist, released his PhD thesis, and it crashed their server. So sometimes things go wrong because things are going really right, and you have to plan for that too. Take security, privacy, and intellectual property issues seriously. It goes without saying. And with all that in mind, keep it as simple as possible, but no simpler. So, free stuff. For the IGG Knowledge Portal, we chose a system called Moodle. It is a learning management system, and we chose it for a number of reasons. It has a great track record, it's well supported, it has a lot of functionality. We may not create courses and quizzes and so forth right away, but it has the functionality to do that, as well as do more blog styles content management. Other systems, there are too many to name, so I won't, but Wikipedia and blogs like WordPress and so forth could handle smaller content management systems if you were looking for something in that range. On the back end, Linux is free. There are free Linuxes, free Unixes like FreeBSD and OpenBSD, but Linux is by far the more popular one, so that's what we went with. The consideration on this is that if we hand over something that is arcane and weird, and we're the only ones using it, it's going to die within a year, probably in much less time than that. Everything we choose should be quite popular with a very good user base and a good long track record of stability and overall user happiness. With regard to the databases, MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQLite, most people will probably not notice a difference. You may notice if you need functionality such as spatial data types, you may want to look at PostGIS. But that brings me I just wanted to show the Moodle interface. One more point about Moodle was that the picture in the upper left, that is the mobile app. Talk faster? Okay. And so for your audience, that will provide some added functionality. We also use a number of free content creation tools for video, audio. The presentation one, Active Presenter, isn't free. There is a free version and a paid version, but we like the free version. It does what we need. Graphics and data visualization is way too big a topic for 1 minute, so I won't. And nearly free stuff. Sometimes commercial products also have a free version, so that is worth looking into. And take security seriously. I have to say it again. Eureka alert, this happened last year, you may remember. Their site was hacked. You wouldn't think that someone would hack a site full of science articles, but that happened. So don't think, oh well, who would go after our site? Someone just might. So in summary, it's complicated, building a knowledge portal, knowledge management system, but listen to your users, let that guide your process. It's highly recommended that you set goals and measure, set some metrics like how many users or how much traffic, and know where you are with this project so you know whether it's a worthwhile project or not. And lastly, share your knowledge. This is a fascinating journey that we're not the only ones going on it, and when we share what we are doing, it's going to help other people, and we hope that will continue on, and anyone that we help will also become a part of the open source ecosystem. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and it's been great being here. Thanks.